I'm here on the job site with Dale, who's a framing contractor.
Hey, good morning.
Dale traded up to Geico Commercial Auto Insurance for all his business vehicles. We're here where he needs us most.
Yep, they sure are.
We make it easy for him to save on all his insurance needs, all in one place, with coverage that fits his business and bottom line. Oh, I shouldn't have looked down.
It's all right.
We're so far up here.
Look at me. Take a deep breath.
No, I'm good. So good.
Get a commercial auto insurance quote today at geico.com and see how much you could save. It feels good to Geico.
It's time for the Larry H. Miller Utah Summer Games at Southern Utah University in Cedar City. Register today to participate in the 40th anniversary season of a Utah sports tradition at utahsummergames.org. Participate in over 50 sports around the state. Then plan to join the opening ceremonies Friday, June 5th, presented by State Bank of Southern Utah. Register today to participate in the 40th anniversary season of the Larry H. Miller Utah Summer Games.
Your home for the best sports radio for your afternoon drive is right here. This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. This Mother's Day, give mom more than just a gift. Give her comfort she'll feel every single day. Enjoy special Mother's Day deals at Miki Couture. 50% off any regularly priced blanket with code ZONE50. Shop online at mikicouture.com or simply drop by one of their many stores. I personally like the Sugar House one.
Yeah.
But I'm a little biased.
Yeah.
All right, let's get out of the zone phone, talk a little NBA playoffs. He covers the NBA for Bleacher Report. He's Eric Pincus with us here on Jake and Ben. Eric, thanks for a few minutes. How are you?
Hey, Eric.
I'm doing well. Hey, thanks for having me.
I was not expecting a particularly competitive series between the Spurs and the Timberwolves. I don't know why, and the Timberwolves looked fabulous in Game 1. They seem every year to have an okay regular season and are just stellar making back-to-back conference finals. What is it about Minnesota that allows them to win in the postseason?
Well, they're good. Yeah, they're a really good basketball team. I actually had this game going 7, and I did pick Spurs, but it's not a confident pick. If I go 7, I'm basically saying this is a coin flip. Either team could win, and I don't know which one is favored. The Spurs don't have the experience. They have a really good team, but Minnesota, they have, and they're without Dante DiVincenzo and Ayo Dosunmu, a couple of their lead guards, but they have their main bigs, and they have a lot of bigs. And Rudy Gobert, Nasri, Julius Randle, and then I don't think McDaniels is technically a big, but he might as well be the way he plays defensively. They're just so good and so disciplined defensively, and that's really what the playoffs ends up being. Rudy Gobert is not a great offensive player. I think Utah fans are pretty well accustomed to what Rudy Gobert does well and what he doesn't do well. But he is a former defensive player of the year, and that's for a reason. And so he's making it hard for them around the basket. Julius Randle's tough. Anthony Edwards, we didn't even mention him, and he's probably their best player. So, this is a real basketball team. They've gone to the conference finals 2 years in a row. So denigrate them on your own risk.
Is what they did against Wembanyama replicable?
Yeah, I mean, the challenge for Wembanyama, who is a baby relative to NBA experience. This is his first time in the playoffs. He's very young. His body, hopefully will stay, healthy and fill out a little bit more. But he's never dealt with this level in the NBA of defenses that are geared up to stop specifically what he does on offense. Now, the block shots, what he did in the game was tremendous, but he had a difficult time on offense. And I don't think he'll have bad games every single time. I don't think he and Fox will miss all their threes. And I think this will be, yes, it's replicable. Is it replicable 4 times or at least 3 more times for them to win the series? That's really the question. But I do know that of the players in the league who at least can challenge Wembanyama to an extent, it's Gobert. And then it's not just Gobert, but the combination of bigs and scheme and style and his inexperience. This is, in my mind, the necessary learning steps for him to eventually dominate the league entirely. But you have to learn how to do that, and it doesn't usually happen for players in their first go-round.
I love that Minnesota is full of guys who play both sides of the floor. And yeah, Rudy's not a great offensive player like you mentioned, but he's a great defender. Ant will play on both sides of the floor. Julius Randle is an extremely flawed player. He has proven, I think, over the last 2 playoff runs that flawed guys can still be very important. With that said, is there a ceiling to this Timberwolves team, or do you think they could conceivably compete for a true championship, or are they going to cap out as a conference finals team at best?
Well, like Julius is flawed, but like there's no player who isn't flawed. I mean, everybody has flaws. His are a little more pronounced in certain ways, but they kind of need someone who's unabashedly going to get his bucket. And they have that with Ant, and they have that with Julius. And in the playoffs, you see guys aren't willing to shoot sometimes or afraid to shoot, and Julius is never afraid. He may not take a good shot. He might play bully ball and make a mistake, but he's going for it. And sometimes it's just the more aggressive team. And is that enough to get past the Spurs? As I said, I think it's a coin flip. Is it enough to get past, let's say, Detroit or whoever comes out of the East, the Knicks or whatever? Potentially, I think reasonably so. The challenge is the Thunder, and they just appear to be the best team in the league by a good length. That I don't know. And, the Lakers get first crack at them. I'm not expecting much from the Lakers. I picked the Thunder in 5. Even though I'm in Los Angeles and cover the Lakers closely, I had to go with reality and not fan brain. But I don't know if the Timberwolves are good enough to beat the Thunder.
Why were the Rockets such a disaster? What's going on there?
Well, there's a couple of things. One, Kevin Durant is a really special player, and he was functionally out of the series outside of one game. So that wasn't great. The other is that, they never really addressed properly their injury to Fred VanVleet and lacked a lead guard. And you can get through the regular season without a lead guard in a way that you can't in the playoffs, because teams don't have the time, effort, or ability to really play the kind of defense that you can in the playoffs. Over the regular season, you're just getting from city to city. You're just trying to survive. And you just can't put that level of focus. But you can in the play. In fact, that's all that they do. You have the best minds in basketball trying to figure out how to stop you. And that's the issue right there. So, we'll see what comes for the Rockets. They have some issues. I think Amen Thompson was tremendous. I think, you can't forget how young they are. Without KD and without Fred VanVleet, and by the way, Steven Adams, who's an incredible offensive rebounder. And similar to Rudy, not like necessarily a great offensive player, but these big guys who set huge screens are highly impactful. So, someone like Steven Adams hurt them just not being there. So injuries, and then the Lakers peaked at a really odd time, and LeBron's pretty good. I think we should mention that.
Before we look at the Eastern Conference playoffs and specifically the teams that are still alive, there are a bunch of teams that are not in the playoffs anymore that are probably feeling like they're left scratching their head. Boston, Denver, maybe Orlando with how they got there, where it seemed like maybe they wouldn't get through the play-in tournament, and then they had such a good first 4 games of that series and then absolutely fell apart. Who's got maybe the toughest decisions to make this summer? And maybe not even just because they have the best team or best player or don't have the best player. Who do you think has the hardest summer ahead of them?
That's a good question. Probably the Bucks. Trying to figure out what happens with Giannis Antetokounmpo. And I say that because, the Celtics, I had them as the best team in the East. I thought it was them and the Pistons and maybe New York. And then early in the series, Pistons were struggling. So I was looking at Boston as the team that was going to come out. Do they pivot? Do they look at Giannis and say, maybe we give up one of the Jaylens or one of the Jays and go in a different direction? Orlando, do they, obviously they've already fired their coach. Do they split up Paolo and Franz Wagner? The challenge there is that there's this big question of whether those two guys can fit together in a playoff setting, because neither of them shoots the three especially well, and they both sort of take up the same role in offensive space. So that's kind of the question that they didn't get answered. And the only answers that they got is that when Franz was healthy, they looked pretty dang good. And so, do they do they split that up? And, Denver, unfortunately, has had a lot of health issues. They didn't have Aaron Gordon. They didn't have Peyton Watson. And Cam Thomas had a good game towards the end there, but didn't necessarily replace what Michael Porter Jr. did. So they have difficult decisions too. I think really the only decision the Nuggets are focused on is getting Jokic extended. And if they can get him to extend and know that their foundational player is going to be there for the next, however many years, I don't think that's a difficult decision for them. And so then it's just, how do you make the team better? I think the other teams, maybe Orlando, because if you're asking me between the three who has the toughest decision, it's probably Orlando, because they just didn't get enough information out of this year.
Before the Jazz entered the rebuild, they obviously decided that they had gone as far as they could go with Donovan and Rudy, and given their contractual status and all those things. I guess my question is Donovan Mitchell good enough to get a team over the hump as their best player?
Well, I mean, factually, based on history, the answer is no. We'll find out in a few weeks if we're wrong and if history is wrong. And I'm old enough to remember when Shaq used to get swept every year. And then at some point he became, 3-time champ and then 4-time champ. And so things change, and it's not always, you can be dogmatic. But that said, there's something that has felt missing from Donovan's run in Cleveland. And he only got Utah so far, but the Utah run was pretty special too. So I think he's a really fun player. I think he's a very talented player, and you need somebody who's willing to take on the offensive role that he's willing to take. Like we talked about with Randall and Ant, Donovan's not afraid to take bad shots or, good shots or bad shots. And sometimes the bad shots are what hurts the team. So I think Cleveland has some issues. I enjoy where Utah's headed. I'm very curious to see where the Jazz are headed. I'm intrigued by what they've been building. I think there's something going on there that is interesting. How good, I don't know, and we'll find out, in the lottery, how that shifts and how much of a bolster they get with some young talent. But I think Donovan is an elite player, but I don't know that he's like the top tier elite. He might be second tier elite.
If the Thunder are the favorite to win the title, who's number 2?
Oof. Well, sheesh. It's a distant number 2, but okay. So if they don't get out of the West, in my mind, it's Minnesota that gets that done, or San Antonio. San Antonio, if they can get past Minnesota, it means that they've matured. It means that they've grown up, and I don't mean that as a slight. I mean, they're young, they're inexperienced at the NBA level. They're all tremendous players, and it's not a slight on them, but usually the path is you get kicked in the teeth, and then the next year is when you take another step. And if they jump ahead of the curve and get past Minnesota, which shows that they've solved a very difficult puzzle, they match up interestingly with the Thunder, probably better than anybody else. And so that's really the only hope if you don't want the Thunder to win. In my mind, it's San Antonio, but again, let's not continue to underestimate the Timberwolves. And the Knicks have been just on an extreme roll. They started out real shaky in the playoffs, but the last few games they've absolutely decimated teams. So let's not forget them as well. And the Pistons showed a lot of heart to come back 3-1. So I view Thunder number 1, maybe Spurs as their best challenger, and if not, maybe one of those teams coming out of the East.
What'd you make of Boston blowing a 3-1 lead? And then what'd you make of Jaylen Brown going right to some platform to complain about the officials? I'm not a fan of the whole complaining about the officials. It is what it is. Like, they lost when two things happened. They lost when Joel Embiid came back, because you forget that he was MVP 3 years ago or something like that. Incredible player. The challenge with Embiid is health, and if he's there and he's healthy, he's a pretty special guy. And then Tatum on the other end, not being there for Game 7, just they had a bad game at home, and then the next game, they didn't get it done on the road, and then Tatum's not available to close it out in Game 7. It's just a confluence of just bad luck and non-execution at the worst possible moment. So I feel for them. It is what it is. I don't like the complaining. We could say how everybody in this league tries to draw fouls, because that's a way to win, but it's not a new thing. I mean, James Harden, Kobe Bryant, you go down the list.
there's a much longer list than that. We can go, prior eras before that. But if we just say the last 20 years or so, there are guys who excel at taking advantage of the rules. And if they're going to call it a certain way and it's to your advantage, then you should get that foul drawn because it's helping your team win. The Thunder are sort of thought of as the most egregious on that, but Shea is really good at drawing fouls. You know what he should do? He should draw fouls. If the NBA doesn't like the way that the game is called, they need to change it in the offseason. Jalen's a great player. He's a tremendous person. He's done a lot of good in this world. And I'm sure he was speaking out of emotion more than anything else. Obviously, that was a tough loss.
What does a successful series look like for the Lakers against the Thunder?
They need to get a split in one of those first two games. And the game one is usually the one where maybe the Thunder had that sweep in the first round, so maybe their legs are a little, their conditioning is not as strong just because they haven't been able to play, and the Lakers got just about enough time for LeBron to be at his best. And if they can extend that series, then theoretically maybe Luka comes back. So get it. If they lose in 6, I'm impressed because I really was leaning more towards a sweep than I was Lakers in 5. But the challenge is if you look at the regular season games, the Thunder just absolutely destroyed them. But I've seen that before in the world in the playoffs where you throw out the regular season. Sometimes the playoffs are just different. I look at the two rosters and don't really buy it for the Lakers, but at the same time, LeBron is, as we mentioned, is a pretty special player, and if they can get that thing to a split, maybe get a 1 or 2, maybe a split at home, push the thing into the series into 6-7 games, maybe something crazy could happen.
Where do you think LeBron plays next year?
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a tough one. So, the Lakers they're one of 3 teams that has considerable cap room, spending power. Chicago, Brooklyn, there's another few teams that might be able to get there, but they have to make difficult decisions like Atlanta with Kuminga or Detroit with Jalen Duren or, even the Clippers with this whole Kawhi Leonard situation where, theoretically crazy things could happen if they get punished and his contract get voided. But let's just go with the basics. 3 teams have money. There's not a tremendous list of free agents, but there are some good ones. And then the Lakers, if they don't get a free agent, can look to get one of the players they covet via trade. So let's just say it's a world in which they do successfully get a player or via trade or free agency. They're not going to be able to afford in that path also to pay LeBron $50 million, which is what he's been getting. So now there's the other path where they don't find what they want. They don't get the free agent. They don't get the trade. And at that point, maybe they just need to wait a year. And if that's the case, pay LeBron another year, maybe not 50, maybe 30, maybe 25 or some lower number because you can't really get it anywhere else. But enough to make everybody happy and compromise. I don't know if that's the path, but it's a reasonable one. I don't think it's plan A for the Lakers, which is, crazy because LeBron is, historic, an all-time player, whether you love or hate him, he's got to be ranked at least in the top 5 players of all time, if not number 1. I'm not going to debate that now, but he's at least in that conversation, certainly on longevity. I don't know anyone, Kareem played this late in his career, but he was nowhere close to what LeBron is at this point. So we'll have to wait and see how it all pans out, but Cleveland is certainly a possibility to go home. I think the Warriors with Steph is reasonable. The Knicks, some people have mentioned. I could come up with some wild ones. I think I have on some article that hasn't published yet for Bleacher where we, throw out like maybe joins AD somewhere or Kyrie or something like that. But I think, it's really up to really LeBron. And the last possible thing is that he could retire. I wouldn't expect him to, given how well he's still playing, but, that's a personal decision I'll have to weigh on motivation. It's not a question of physically can he, because he showed that he can, but does he want to?
Eric, thank you so much for jumping on with us. We greatly appreciate it. Big fans of your work.
All right. Anytime, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Eric.
That's Eric Pincus, covers the NBA for Bleacher Report.
Covered a lot of ground there.
Oh, yeah. Eric's great.
I think LeBron's playing next year.
He is.
I have no idea where. I suspect the Lakers.
I don't think
That would
so.
be my guess. But, yeah, maybe there's an ugly. I mean, I expect them to get swept by the Thunder with or without Luka. And I don't expect Luka back, truthfully. But I think they're going to get swept, and that could leave a bad enough taste in his mouth, and the Lakers could be willing enough to turn the page on LeBron where they're not going to give him any money and just say, it's been great, go try and win a title somewhere else. And he goes and teams up with Steph or Steph and KD or goes to Cleveland and not AD, KD, or goes back to Cleveland. But he'll have whatever option he wants.
I don't think it'll be the Lakers unless he signs like a league minimum deal, but I honestly don't see it being with the Lakers. So, yeah, maybe it's somewhere else, but he's playing. I think LeBron will have his farewell tour.
Could absolutely see him in Manhattan. Could absolutely see him playing with the Knicks.
Oh, I thought you were saying Kansas State.
Transferring down. Trying to see if he has any eligibility after skipping Ohio State entirely.
Christian, Kansas State is located in Manhattan, Kansas.
Thank you. I put that together afterwards.
Making sure.
Kansas State's not relocating for the season.
In all honesty,
Play
with
on the island of Manhattan.
with the rules in college, LeBron has eligibility left.
I don't know what the rule.
You could sign G League players.
Mm-hmm.
Sign LeBron.
Why not?
Probably make more money at Kansas State than he would in Cleveland or L.A.
Yeah, probably more than he would make with the Lakers next year.
Some college somewhere will pay LeBron $10 million to
No
come
question.
play for their team.
BYU, do you know what they would pay to get LeBron? For
Yeah,
30
that's what I'm
games?
saying. He should take it to court.
He has the power. If anyone has the power,
Because you
he
can
and
play.
Adele would get him wherever he needs to be.
Absolutely. You can play pro basketball now and go back to college. We've seen players play pro in Europe and then go to college.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen G League players now go to
I've not
college.
seen an NBA player, and they seem to have drawn the line specifically at the NBA,
But
which I don't
who?
know why.
That's my point.
Yeah,
Who?
for who and why? Yeah, why would they draw the line at the NBA? What's the difference between the NBA and the G League?
There's
no
not one.
difference.
There isn't.
Absolutely no difference. The players are way better in the NBA, sure, but like
Conceptually, it's the same
and
thing.
any G League night, there's 5 NBA guys on the other team. How often did Bryce Sensabaugh and Taylor Hendricks and Cody Williams and more, even Isaiah or Marcus Smart has played in the G League. It's like Rudy played in the G League.
I
Rudy's
know.
a Hall of Famer.
It used to be when amateurism was a thing that if you played pro at all,
If you got
were
$1.
not qualified.
You got paid to play.
That rule is gone. So why couldn't an
It's a
NBA player?
silly line to me.
It's a way silly line. I totally agree.
Yeah.
LeBron should finish his career in Manhattan, Kansas. I know Hot Take Tuesday
I
is
look
coming up
great in
next.
purple.
But that's my hot
I
take.
know I look good in purple, so I'm going to the only purple school.
Finish your career in Manhattan, Kansas.
Taking my talents to Manhattan,
Finish your career
Kansas.
in Moscow, Idaho. Although I wouldn't put it past. LeBron wants to do that 3-on-3 thing in Europe, right? Maybe he'll finish his career in Moscow, Russia.
I'm going to Portland, Maine. What colleges are in Portland, Maine?
I was going to say, is there even a college in Portland, Maine? The University of Maine, maybe?
Let's see. The C on my computer doesn't work anymore, so it's really hard to type. I should get that fixed.
Why do you need the C in Portland, Maine?
College. Southern Maine. Or Maine College of Art and Design. Or Southern Maine Community College. I bet they're a powerhouse with LeBron. The NCJAA championship goes to Southern Maine Community College.
I'm taking my talents to South Beach to play for the Hurricanes.
It's going to be great.
I think you should do it. Somebody should do it. Some geezer has been who gets washed out of the NBA should sue to go back to college.
Oh, they tried. Yeah. Was it somebody at Baylor? I can't remember who the player was. There was an NBA player this year who was trying to get back into college, and they drew the line. They said, no way.
Hot Take Tuesday coming up next. Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Make game day yours. Tickets, food and drinks, stats, and streaming. Everything you need is in the Utah Mammoth app. Download today and make game night easy. Download on both Android and iPhone. Tusk Top.